So one of the guys that I find very fun to watch, despite the fact that they play one of the more boring positions to watch, at least according to most people, is Garrett Bradbury, who plays center for the Vikings. I think that the way he plays is very fun. I think he's very underrated. I thought he had a very good rookie season, even though some people are kind of, lukewarm on him. I think he's very good, and I'm going to try to explain why in this video, even though I also admit he's not perfect. He has some flaws, but I like him, and I find him very fun to watch. So, yeah. Let's just take a look at this play. So, what's going to happen is that he's going to have a one-on-one matchup against Dexter Lawrence. And actually, fun fact about this play, I was just watching this while making my Dexter Lawrence video. And I saw this play, and it inspired me to make a Garrett Bradbury video because I do like him. But anyways, what's going to happen is that what you're going to see him do is Bradbury's, again, part of what makes being a center so difficult is the fact that you have your hands down because you have to snap the ball, but you have to try and get him up so quickly to be able to then make a block. And this is going to be a running play to the right, but watch how he kind of just twists his left shoulder like that. And even though Lawrence is the one who has his arm extended, and Lawrence is the one who really has the key point of contact right here, he's the one who has his right arm on Bradbury's left side of his body, and Lawrence is a very big guy sitting at, 340 pounds. He's someone who can easily bowl you over, but Bradbury is not really getting moved at all. Despite the fact that he's 40 pounds lighter, he's still able to hold his own, and he makes this block very well. He gives his halfback plenty of room to run. He ended up getting tackled partially by Lawrence, but that wasn't because of a missed block by Bradbury at all. That was just 53 of the Giants did a great job against Minnesota's tight end to move over. I'll show it up play in full so you can check that out. That's what went wrong on that play. But the block itself from Bradbury was very good. This play is an interesting one where he's going to be going up against that Seattle defender right there. So, got to try to obviously block him, keep him to the left side of the screen, don't let him get to the right side of the screen. Pretty simple. But what you're going to see him do is just, completely whiff right here. I mean, this is terrible news, right? 91, he can now completely run over and get to the halfback and make a stop. So this is just, awful play by Bradbury, except for one thing, that this ball wasn't going to the halfback. And watch how he's able to then just stay back and finish off that block. Just a really good fake right there, and it results in a huge gain because Cousins kept it himself. It was just a really good fake out it was Bradbury and another guard did a really good job on that fake out. Really well executed by Minnesota as a whole, but especially by him, where, those plays are tricky because you have to make it look like you did just whiff on your block and not that you are trying to let him go a certain way, because if you make it too obvious, well, then they can start to time it, and then, they can start to do the opposite. So you have to be careful for sure. But he did it perfectly on that one, just very well executed. And, he does kind of those wonky plays very well, which is one of the things that I do like about him. We'll show this one. This is another thing I like about him is he has great speed, great footwork, accelerates very quickly. He's supposed to get up to block Bobby Wagner right here. It's a goal line type situation, and so no easy feat whatsoever. It's going to get a little bit more difficult, as right when the ball is snapped, the defensive lineman who is lined up with him is going to create some contact. So not only does he have to run over and try to block a Hall of Fame linebacker, but he also has to do it while he has another defender trying to tie him up right here. However, he's going to be able to find a way to do it. Again, a good play. Would that have mattered? I don't think so. I think it would have been a touchdown either way, but still just a good play from him, and you never know. So you got to play it out, and he did very well on that one. So okay, those are the positives, but I'm sure there are certain Vikings fans who are screaming and saying, "What are you talking about? Bradbury is terrible. The whole offensive line is terrible. You're wrong and stupid," which, I might be stupid, but I don't think I'm wrong about this. For one thing, I think a lot of Bradbury's worst games were in the first couple of weeks. I think that he was, first couple of weeks he did not look great out there, but he's improved since then. I think that's a lot of it. Part of it was he just had some boneheaded rookie mistakes. I mean, this play is a hilarious play. What's going to happen is that, so this is the way this blocking is going to end up working out. And you might be thinking, well, this is weird. This doesn't look normal. I got to take a second to process this. And the reason you're thinking that way is because it's stupid. And what's gonna happen is you notice that there is going to actually be a linebacker who's going to be rushing the passer, and there's going to be a defensive tackle who's dropping back in the coverage. So that's going to fool Minnesota to some degree, which that part makes sense to some degree. The back will now be blocking the linebacker. I kept wanting to say fullback because the 44 number, but of course not a fullback, a linebacker. Fullbacks don't play defense. And what you're also going to notice is that there are currently 3 Minnesota Vikings that are going to be blocking an interior lineman. It's going to be both their guards and Bradbury. Like, watch, as you see, once the ball is snapped, somehow 3 players all end up on him, which, again, I want to make fun of them for the fact that they're leaving a halfback to block someone one-on-one and to have 3 offensive linemen blocking another defensive player. But, it happens. They got fooled. So what do you do now? Well, the right guard, he's going to say, well, I mean, there's no good in having a third person on him. I'm going to just run around and try to find somebody else to hit. That's what I'm going to do because, we probably screwed something up if 3 of us are on one guy, which makes some sense. But the problem is, if you notice, Bradbury also does that, which he just really shouldn't be doing. I mean, Bradbury, at this point, maybe take a quick look around, but once you realize that your guard, who is already further to, away from that defensive player, moved over, then you have to say, okay, I'm just going to go back and block him. At least we'll double team him and whatever. I'll trust the rest of my team. But now, because of this, it's putting a one-on-one matchup back, and obviously it was a matchup they were somewhat afraid of if 3 of them ended up blocking him. And not just this, but the left guard now, he was expecting to have help on that side, so he might not be working as hard to keep him off from that side. So this allows 97 to run over and make a tackle, and he actually somehow ends up with, on the same play, he was triple teamed and got a sack. I mean, that just can't happen, and it's a mistake. And, I mean, honestly, it's Bradbury's fault. I mean, he shouldn't have let that happen. Just kind of a dumb rookie mistake. And again, it's like, how often does that happen? Not really that often, but it's a microcosm of a bigger thing. And the fact that he would make a good amount of rookie mistakes. There's more I could point into, but, that's just an example of he would make some rookie mistakes. He just would. I also think one very negative thing about his game would often be when he would have to go one-on-one against somebody. He would very much struggle in one-on-one matchups and pass protection. Pass protection, listen, it's not his strongest. I think he's a good run blocker. I don't think he's a great pass blocker, and I would actually say that he might even be a below average pass blocker, and at his best, he can be slightly above average. He's a very good run blocker, but needs some help in the passing game. Like on a play like this, it's a one-on-one matchup right there in the middle of the field, and watch how, he's just going to lose his footing pretty easily, gets overpowered, ends up getting called for a holding penalty on that one, which is just not very good. And so, that's not something you like to see. But why am I still saying that I think he's a very good player, even if he has a problem like this, and a pretty glaring problem? Well, because he's a center. I mean, centers aren't supposed to be great at blocking people in a one-on-one situation. That's not their job. So, yes, every now and then against the blitz, he struggles. He's not the best center against the blitz. Like, I think that's his biggest weakness. But I think that his strengths mostly outweigh that one con, and I think that he can also try to improve on that, too. And if he can just get that part of his game fixed, I think he will be a very valuable piece. And I feel like maybe he's not as good as some other centers in the league right now, or some other maybe even young offensive linemen. But what I would say is that his potential is very high. He has very high potential. If he can work out those rookie mistakes, which he really did, I felt like, throughout the course of the season, and also if he can just sort of work out, get his pass protection a little bit better, really improve on that, just to become more well-rounded. And again, I don't think it's actually terrible. I think that his lowlights look bad, but more often than not, he would make the block. It's just that, you miss one block that results in a sack, people talk about that one because sacks aren't very good. I mean, as a center, you don't want to be giving up sacks, and he gave up 4, which was tied for second most in the NFL last year. So, because, obviously, centers don't give up a ton of sacks. They might give up more pressures, but typically a center gets to double team, so that's why they won't give up as many sacks. But, I think teams kind of got onto it and would try to blitz more, but, hey, if you can pick that up, it can be a very big benefit to your team. He had his poor moments for sure, but I also do think that his run blocking ability was a huge reason why Dalvin Cook was able to be successful as well. I'm a pretty big Garrett Bradbury fan. I just am. I understand why some people don't love him because they don't love his pass blocking ability, but I think it's very good. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.